Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and today this video is just to let you all know that today the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, did find that Israel likely is guilty of genocide. They must do what they can to prevent genocide. Of course, Netanyahu and them are like, no, we are just trying to protect. You haven't been protecting yourself. You've been committing genocide. It is clear as a fucking bell. But Netanyahu still proclaims, oh, we are defending ourselves. Dude, it's late January. They hit you one day, October 7th, and took some hostages. They've returned many of them. And all you've done is level their place and murder and displace so many Palestinians. But anyway, let's, look at some of this here. The top UN court, the ICJ, International Court of Justice, orders Israel to prevent genocide in Gaza but stop short of ordering a ceasefire. That means their military actions must be more aimed at Hamas and not just a willy-nilly just drop as many as you fucking can. But yeah, The Hague in the Netherlands. The United Nations top court on Friday ordered Israel to do all it can to prevent death, destruction, and any acts of genocide in Gaza. But the panel stopped short of ordering Jerusalem to end the military offensive that has laid waste to the Palestinian enclave. In a ruling that will keep Israel under the legal lens for years to come, the court offered little other comfort to Israeli leaders in a genocide case brought by South Africa that goes to the core of one of the world's most intractable conflicts. The court's half-dozen orders will be difficult to achieve without some sort of ceasefire or pause in the fighting. The court is acutely aware of the extent of the human tragedy that is unfolding in the region and deeply concerned about the continuing loss of life and human suffering, Court President Joan E. Donoghue said. The ruling amounted to an overwhelming rebuke of Israel's wartime conduct and added to mounting international pressure to halt the nearly 4-month-old offensive that has killed more than 26,000 Palestinians, decimated vast swaths of Gaza, and driven nearly 85% of its 2.3 million people from their homes, allowing the accusations to stand stung the government of Israel, which was founded as a Jewish state after the Nazi slaughter of 6 million Jews during World War II. I doubt it stung them that much. They knew what the hell they were doing. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the fact that the court was willing to discuss the genocide charges was a mark of shame that will not be erased for generations. He vowed to press ahead with the war, The power of the ruling was magnified by its timing, coming on the eve of International Holocaust Remembrance Day, while Israel commits a Holocaust of its own. Later Friday, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres stressed that the top court's rulings are legally binding and trusts that Israel will comply with its orders, including to take all measures within its power to prevent acts that would bring about the destruction of the Palestinian people. So, yeah, we are seeing that, yes, everybody else in the world says this is a genocide. Period. Those truly needing to stand trial that were are those that murdered and kidnapped children, women, and elderly. Former Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz said, referring to Hamas militants who stormed through Israeli communities on October the 7th. In the attack to set off the war, the assault killed some 1,200 people and resulted in another 250 being kidnapped. The court also called on Hamas to release the hostages who are still in captivity. You know, this should have been the fucking thing to begin with. It should have been a come to the table, negotiate, talk. But no, what does goddamn fucking Netanyahu do? Let's murder people. Let's fucking kill kids, elderly. Fuck y'all. The courts also, many of the measures were approved by an overwhelming majority of the judges. Of the 6 orders, an Israeli judge voted in favor of 2. An order of humanitarian aid and another for the prevention of inflammatory speech. See, that's some of the simplest shit. Israeli judge Aaron Barak said he supported those orders in the hope that they would help to decrease tensions and discourage damaging rhetoric while easing the consequences of the armed conflict for the most vulnerable. Such provisional measures issued by the World Court are legally binding, but it is not clear if Israel will comply with them. Yeah, this is a black mark on Israel. That they are doing the same level of genocide the Nazis did to Jewish peoples. It is ridiculous. But that's where we are. Now, I have a video. I'm not going to play it, but I'll put it in the link in the description box for y'all to watch because Ryan Grimm does a great job. But anyway, we talked about the ruling against Israel, but I have lost everything. In federal court, Palestinians accuse Biden of complicity in genocide. So this is what's going on after the decision that Israel had been committing genocide. Bolstered by momentous International Court of Justice ruling, Palestinians, including Americans, gave 3 hours of testimony against the Biden administration. In a momentous day for the quest to keep Israel and its allies accountable for its brutal war on Gaza, members of leading Palestinian human rights groups, residents of Gaza, and Palestinian Americans argued in a U.S. District Court on Friday that the Biden administration should halt its financial and military support for Israel and uphold its obligations to prevent genocide. The arguments came in a lawsuit by the Center for Constitutional Rights, or CCR, filed in November against President Joe Biden, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, charging them with complicity and failure to prevent the unfolding genocide in the occupied Strip. Testifying either in person at the Oakland, California courthouse or remotely from Palestine, the plaintiffs spoke for nearly 3 hours about the deliberate devastation wrought by Israel in the aftermath of the October 7th Hamas attacks. The hearing commenced hours after the ICJ in The Hague found that it's plausible that Israel has committed acts of genocide in Gaza, in a case brought by South Africa. While the United States court fell short of ordering an immediate ceasefire, a panel of judges delivered a historic set of rulings and denied Israel's request to dismiss the case. A final resolution in that case is expected to take years. Lawyers involved with the lawsuit playing out in federal court said that the ICJ ruling bolsters their case. Their lawsuit argues that Biden, Blinken, and Austin are liable under U.S. law for failing to uphold their obligations to prevent genocide in Gaza. In Oakland, dozens of people lined up outside the courthouse hours before the hearing on Friday, according to organizers on the ground, while the Zoom stream reached its capacity of 1,000 people tuning in. The Biden administration has maintained that genocide allegations against Israel are meritless and unhelpful, while on Friday, U.S. government attorneys argued the court has no standing to decide what they say is a matter of foreign policy. Plaintiffs, meanwhile, including several Palestinian Americans, spoke powerfully about the need for the U.S. government to take immediate action to save lives. Abso-fucking-lutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Let me say it louder for those in the back that didn't hear it. Abso-fucking-lutely. They have a responsibility. In the last 3 months, Israel has killed at least 25,000 Palestinians, one in every 100 residents of Gaza. Layla El-Haddad, a Palestinian American writer and one of the plaintiffs in the case, described her neighborhood being reduced to a large pile of sand and the killing of dozens of her relatives, including some who were buried in mass graves. My family is being killed on my dime, she told the court. President Biden could, with one phone call, put an end to this. If he would have the fucking balls to stand up and say, listen, Netanyahu, this ends now, or we are cutting every last bit of aid we provide to Israel. Period. You need to come to the goddamn table and negotiate. That's how it's handled. Duh. Bitch. Done. Anyway. Yeah. I'm so glad that the international court has ruled this way. And even in the U.S., there are court cases that this has bolstered, has made even more definitive. Biden, get off your goddamn ass. Tell Netanyahu enough is fucking enough. Have some goddamn balls, some fucking gumption, and tell them, say, look, you've been bombing them ceaselessly. And it's gotten a trade of some prisoners, but nothing else. You have not hardly got anybody that is Hamas. You can complain and say, oh, every citizen is Hamas. No, fuck you, motherfucker. And fuck every damn member of the Likud party. It's that fucking simple. That's all you have to do. Sometimes you have to get a bit angry, a bit loud, a bit raucous. Anyway, yeah. I'll put these links in the description box below the video as always. If y'all want to read it, there it is. But guys, yeah. Honestly, if this ruling is not abided by, what's the point of international law, of there being any form of international law? What's the point of fucking having a UN? There has to be a level of abiding to international regulations. It can't just be picking and choosing all the time, which the U.S. is guilty of a lot. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. As always, educate thyself. Think, read, study, learn. Someone tells you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. Like I said, I'll be putting these sources in the description box below the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.